What is up everybody? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the Creators Concept Spruemeister SM71. I do believe I actually did pronounce this car correctly, but this thing is also going to be part of the Motor Pass here at level 37. It's also going to be the only free vehicle in this Motor Pass as well, so I do think a lot of players are going to want to get this thing. And luckily, getting to level 37 in these motor passes is not going to be difficult, mainly because the challenges can be completed by just doing the summits, and of course getting one free level every day by doing the dailies. So I would say a lot of players are going to be like me, being almost level 40, especially if you do buy the premium upgraded one as well. But nonetheless, guys, let's take a look at this thing a little bit closer. So I would say this is probably one of the better looking new Alpha GP vehicles. I do like this one a tad different and or a little bit more than the Glow Motorsport. I also do like this car and or the Sparrow Competition, which are both in the Motor Pass, but my goodness, this car is going to be so dang long. I would say it's the size of a small bus. It actually might be slightly bigger than a small bus as well. Like, this thing is honestly huge, but I really do love the overall design of this car. I do think it looks pretty awesome. It's definitely going to look insanely futuristic with how this thing does look. You can see the carbon fiber. I also do like the way the plastic is designed on this thing going around it. So I have to admit, I do have to give it to Ubisoft with the overall design of these cars. I really do think they're going to look insanely unique overall. Plus, you guys also have these rims on this car as well. And on this one, you can also change these similar to the other ones. But who in the world is actually going to want to put these on an F1 vehicle? I mean, unless you might be wanting to take this thing to a local car meet, then sure, these rims actually might fit it. But I would probably say most players are most likely not going to touch those. But nonetheless, guys, let's go do an outside look of this vehicle right now, and also take this thing on a quick top speed test. So moving over to the outside look of the SM71, I figured I would once again head over to the Salt Flats. I really do think this is going to be the best area to test out these new vehicles. But my goodness, guys, this car really is big. Like, it's kind of insane. I'm pretty sure I was the exact same length as that little box truck that just drove by, but overall, I really do like the look of this thing. I'm actually digging it slightly more than some of the other ones. But at the same time, I also have to admit, I do think every single new Alpha GP car honestly looks pretty awesome. I also cannot wait to test out the one that's currently in the Summit as well. That thing has an actual turbine that spins on the back of it, so I can't wait to see how that one's going to do, with actual pro settings and or the correct set on it as well. But overall, guys, I do think a lot of people are going to like the SM71. This car not only looks crazy, it also sounds pretty dang good as well. And then moving over to the cockpit view of this car, guys, it's basically going to look exactly the same as the other Alpha GP cars. I did notice the steering wheel on this one is going to be exactly the same, but at least once again you can actually see the detail of this thing, and of course the RPM reader is not going to move similar to the other Alpha GP vehicles, but at least first person mode in these cars do look pretty insane. I would also say cars like this would most likely never pass as an actual Alpha GP vehicle, which I would say the SM71 is most likely not going to pass for safety, especially in F1, but I guess having a crazy looking car like this would honestly be insane. Imagine seeing something like this on a racetrack. But besides all that, guys, moving over to the top speed test here with the Spruemeister. So if I do have a feeling with how these new cars are, this thing is most likely going to have the exact same top speed as like the Pulse Performance, and or something like the Glow and or the Sparrow Competition. I have a feeling all the new Alpha GP cars are most likely going to do 320, so here we go. So 319 to 320 miles per hour. So basically, guys, the new cars are going to be around 20 miles per hour faster than the regular ones, which, to be honest, on the new tracks actually does make a bit of a difference. But I did notice on the regular racetracks, it seems like the new Alpha GP cars don't have the biggest advantage, which I would say is going to be good, especially for balancing. So from testing out the Spruemeister a little bit, guys, I would probably say this car is going to be pretty dang similar to the Pulse Performance. I was also noticing the way this car does go around a corner does feel slightly better than the Glow Motorsport. But one thing I did notice, guys, when using the Glow Motorsport in the recent Summit, that my goodness, these new Alpha GP cars are going to be so much better on the new events. I was noticing you can use these cars on like the regular Alpha GP races, but my goodness, they're going to be so much better on the new races. They also seem to be a lot more fun because of that extra 20 miles per hour on their top speed. I would say the Spewmeister from the testing I have done is actually going to be a pretty dang good car, especially on these new tracks, guys. Like if you did want to run this thing in a summit, this car is by far going to be easily good enough to do so, and of course it's also going to look absolutely insane while doing it. It really is crazy how these new cars do look. I do think the Spewmeister is also the longest one. I might have to test this out to see which car is going to be the biggest here, but I really do think this car is probably going to be the longest one out of the newer cars at least. But then again, that can also make this thing a lot better for its cornering, which I was noticing going around tighter corners the car wasn't slipping. I have been noticing many people talking about the handling feeling slightly different with some of these vehicles. I would like to know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Have you been noticing some of these cars feeling a tad different? One thing I do have to admit though, I would say the Spewmeister's not going to feel like that, at least from the testing I have done with it. I mean, going around corners with this car does honestly feel pretty dang nice, and it doesn't feel as unstable as something like the Glow Motorsport did in some areas. I would probably say the SM71's going to be slightly better, and of course all of these new Alpha GP cars are going to have the exact same top speed, so it really is going to come down to their overall stability and handling, and how they're going to compare to each other, and or if you guys like how one car might feel compared to the other one. I would probably say the SM71's going to be on the better aspect when it comes to overall handling, and I did notice going around corners, guys, this car really does feel insanely nice around them. And of course, guys, on the new tracks, I also do want to mention this. If you normally do run manual on your vehicles, I would recommend trying automatic on these new racetracks. You can run manual, guys, like shifting up into higher gears before hitting the boosters, but I did find this to be a lot more fun in automatic. I also do think it makes you a bit faster. I would definitely recommend trying that out if you normally do run manual. So overall, I would recommend trying out the Spewmeister. I would say a lot of players are most likely going to have this car very soon, and I would recommend trying it out because it does seem to be pretty dang solid overall. It really is going to be a fun car to use, plus it does look pretty dang cool. Of course it's going to be insanely long, but I think the overall design of this car really is going to be futuristic. I really do think Ubisoft honestly killed the way these cars do look, but let me know what you guys think about the SM71 and or the new Alpha GP cars in the comments below, and stay tuned for the one that's currently in the Summit, and here are my pro settings on the Spewmeister.